I've been trying to record this video for a while, y'all. I found this girl's channel yesterday, and I'm just gonna share a video and show y'all what I found.
He basically is going through all of this historical data and creating this timeline. And basically from this draft that she created in 1776, that is supposedly when Satan was loosed. Basically, Satan's little season, that's when it begins. Now, the Bible doesn't specify how long Satan's little season is, but if we look up on average how long do empires last, it says 250 years. So if Satan's little season started in 1776, if you add 250 years, that would be 2026, which is next year, which is terrifying. After Satan's little season, the book of Revelation says that a final battle occurs where Satan gathers the nations of Gog and Magog to fight against God's people. So basically what I'm getting from that is next year, we going to war, y'all. We going to war, like to be big.
So after I saw that video, I was like, y'all know, I instantly connected the 1776 to Ethiopian history, because in 1776, well, let me just show you. So, European explorers and diplomats had contact with Ethiopia as early as the late 1400s and early 1500s. For example, Portugal sent a representative to Ethiopia in 1493. Hold on, y'all. Let me get out of the way. So, written accounts by Europeans of Ethiopia appear in early 1500s, such as books and blah, 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 blah. Formal diplomatic relations between Ethiopia and the United States were only established in 1903. But let's go back a little bit. Let me show y'all something. Ethiopia entered a period called the Zemene Mesafint era of the princes. I think I pronounced that right. I don't know. If I didn't, it's not my language. From about 1769 onward. In this period, the central monarchy lost real power. Regional princes and nobles took over. Around the 1700s, you see fragmented authority in Ethiopia, warlord activity, and weak central rule. So Ethiopia is internal turmoil, shifting power away from the old centralized kingship. And so this aligns with the royal family's little game, where it says in 1776,
A draft that she created in 1776, that is supposedly when Satan was loose. Basically, Satan's little season, that's when
is when Satan, and if you think about this, the way, don't let it go over your head, this is when deception set in the minds of our people. 1776, and it aligns with history, and I have more. So let's not get lost. This is around the time when Ethiopia was fracturing of central rule and rise of local princes. 1776, when they started making their creepy little maps and their creepy little stories. Like, they already had people going over there studying other people. So I have more. And the reason why there's a big gap between the 1776, when Ethiopia started to show weakness from within, and the 1800s, when the British and royal family actually started to mimic Ethiopia's ways and traditions, and then started to come in and try to take over. Look at this. The year 1776 is very early for formal diplomatic relations with European Western powers when it comes to Ethiopia. Ethiopia was still quite internally focused, dealing with regional princes and internal dynamics, e.g. the era of princes. Formal treaties and recognized state-to-state relations with Western powers involving Ethiopia appear much later, late 19th century, early 20th century. What? So, everything lines up. Now, back to the timeline that I told y'all about when the U.S., I'm just going to show y'all the timeline. Hold on. Okay, here it is. 1913. Now remember what that said. Let's remember. Don't forget the timeline when the Papal Bulls and all of that stuff was included. And then after all of this, you got 1948 when they created the state. And then you got the Operation Moses when they took the people from the land that they had been studying since they noticed a weakness from within. In 1776, when the devil creeped in to the minds of the people, Israel, the house of Israel. So look, 1913, the Federal Reserve, the IRS, Rockefeller Foundation, American Cancer Society, ADL, and Warburg linked to the Rothschilds installs the central banking system. And then in 1914, you have World War I. What else happened in 1914? What else? I'm going to show you.
These pieces, all that talk about it. Then we know that the Washington Times was writing about a black king in the 1900s. When we have been told we have been slaves for 400 years, they had a black king that was untouched by Europeans. And what I mean by untouched, he never been a slave, and he also could trace back what? His family members that never been slaves. So this slavery talk and what the things they have told us, y'all, that is really good. But to know a black king was on the throne in the 1900s, and they was writing about him, and they weren't only writing, just some little small things about him. These was significant things, especially for a black man that has been taught that he have been enslaved by a white man for 400 years. So let's just read this little quote. It says, Menelik of Abyssinia, the most democratic of all monarchs. Now, why is Menelik connected to a monarch that's most democratic out of all monarchs? Because when you deal with the throne of David, when you deal with the Solomonic dynasty, when you deal with the throne that's in Ethiopia, you're dealing with the wisdom of God. This will put you above all monarchs. And it's crazy how we know nothing about this throne. We hear about it, but we truly don't know about it. It says, he was seriously ill, dispatches from the capital of his empire to Rome. And if he should die, an outbreak menacing the safety of European representatives would likely be followed by a fierce scramble among the powers for his rich domain. Now, if you know anything about Menelik passed in 1913. World War I broke out in 1914. And not only did Menelik pass in December of 1913. World War I started in July, 7 months after. Because what? They had a scramble. The European powers scrambled for the rich domain in East Africa. Menelik passes December 12, 1913. World War II, July 1914. So the newspaper was true. Now, if you want to read it.
This is what I just found out. Ethiopia and the U.S. officially established relations in 1903 when Menelik II of Ethiopia signed a commerce treaty with the U.S. representative. Ethiopia and France marked the signing of a friendship treaty in 1897 as the formal start of diplomatic relations. Earlier than those dates, Ethiopia and European powers did not interact. So all of that talk about that 400 years of slavery stuff is not adding up. So it says explorers, trade, mission work, all of that, but not in a formal royal family land grant arrangement type thing that clearly links to U.S. or France in those years. But like I said, the gap happened because the year 1776 is very early for formal diplomatic relations. They weren't dealing with outsiders. Ethiopia was not dealing with outsiders until they started having a weakening within. And in that girl's video, let's go back to the video where she said, oh, and I forgot about the part where she was talking about how long empires last, and next year 2026 would be the 250 years that the devil ruled. That's the end. Do y'all know what that means? But anyway, let's go back to the video so y'all can hear what she said in the video for yourself and how all of this links. And then there's going to be a part 2 because I'm almost out of time.
He basically is going through all of this historical data and creating this timeline. And basically from this draft that she created in 1776, that is supposedly when Satan was loose. Basically, Satan's little season, that's when it begins. Now, the Bible doesn't specify how long Satan's little season is, but if we look up on average how long do empires last, it says 250 years. So if Satan's little season started in 1776, if you add 250 years, that would be 2026, which is next year.
So in 1776, the king still existed in Ethiopia, but he had basically no real power. He was basically a puppet. And the real power was held in local lords, warlords, nobles, and regional rulers. The country was divided into competing factions. I think I heard that on a movie before, Factions, The Hunger Games. Each region had its own military leader. These leaders fought against each other constantly. It was like a kingdom split into multiple mini kingdoms. This was in 1776, y'all. This what happened. Foreign powers noticed this instability. And whenever a nation shows internal division, outsiders take advantage of it. So just like what I've been talking about, the house being out of order, y'all, Ethiopia was not unified spiritually or politically. This is the exact mirror of Jacob, y'all, the story of Jacob, a blessed house divided against itself. So why all of this matter spiritually and prophetically is because around 1776, something else major was happening. The United States was being formed. The Declaration of Independence was signed. A new nation under God was being created. At the same time, Ethiopia, the ancient spiritual house, was in disarray. If you're drawing a prophetic line, I'm drawing one too. This is powerful and symbolic. So a new Western power was rising, and an ancient African spiritual power was fragmenting from within. So they saw a way in. This fits the narrative of world shifting, identities being hidden, and biblical patterns repeating. Okay, so this is crazy. So around the time the U.S. was becoming a nation, Ethiopia, the spiritual root, was internally thrown into confusion. The house was weakened, so the prophecy could be redirected, rewritten, and hidden. Okay, they hid it because they saw a way in, and according to their maps of the game that they started to play on the minds of those people in 1776, that's when Satan took over the minds of the people of the house of Israel. I just painted it clear as day. I hope y'all see what's going on. In 2026, according to them, I don't know, maybe we need to do some stuff on the Mag and Gagog or whatever she said at the end of that video.
Gathers the nations of Gog and Magog to fight against God's people. It doesn't specify how long Satan's little season is, but if we look up on average how long do empires last, it says 250 years. So if Satan's little season started in 1776, if you add 250 years, that would be 2026.